The resume always comes up. You know, whether it's the most important thing or second most important thing, it's in the top five. And keywords are extremely important because they come up in HR searches and the like. What are the key elements that you look for in a resume, or that you would recommend somebody trying to get into the profession? What are the key elements in a resume that impresses you?
Well, I think it's less specifically, I worked here from this time to this time, but more if you can talk about projects you've been involved with, where you've been able to personally impact the goals and objectives of a particular program. And it can be anything along the way. If while you're in school you're working on things, whether it's through the athletic department or working on marketing programs where there are transferable ideas and skills, those are the types of things that I look for, sort of a creative way of showing that you actually understand the business that you're trying to break into and shown ways that you've actually successfully done things. I don't think it's necessarily about tenure or having worked at specific organizations. It's being able to show that you understand the business.
Is it also a key to accentuate how you drove revenue? You know, it really comes back to how much money did you make for whatever brand you were a part of?
Yeah, at the end of the day, we don't exist if we're not driving revenue, and oftentimes that means working on a revenue side of the business where you may not necessarily have a comfort zone there. You don't have to necessarily have sold tickets to be a CMO, but if you don't understand the revenue side of the business, if you don't understand how you're going to impact that, you're not going to be able to succeed in an organization.
Alyssa, in this day and age, internships are extremely coveted, but aren't always the easiest thing to attain. Talk about the importance of job shadowing, volunteering, and the internships. But if you can't get the internships, talk about job shadowing and volunteering and the informational interview and how important those things are.
Yeah, I think, the first step is just knowing where you want to work and what area of the business you want to work in. If you're unable to get an internship, getting an informational interviewing, networking. Networking to me is equivalent to real estate. Like when you're out there in the real estate market, it's all about location. For a job, it's all about networking. And it's also, even in school, I tell people that I have informational interviews with now that are at the undergraduate level or graduate level, network within your own peers, because you never know where that person who's sitting next to you in Marketing 101 is going to end up 5 years from now. So it's about doing your research, knowing where you want to work, identifying people that have the job that you ultimately want to have, and how do you get connected to those people, and just using this, if you're in school, using your school resources to open up doors, whether it's your professor, whether it's your advisor, because people can open up doors for you, and that's all you need is just that one chance.
Bobby, where are the jobs? And I mean, it sounds like a pretty straightforward question, but it's not the easiest one. And is there a particular area of the business where it's a little bit easier to break in? That's really the question. Where are the jobs, and is there a facet of the industry that may be easier for the 22, 23-year-olds to break into?
I think one of the benefits of the time that we're in right now is because there's so much convergence between sports and entertainment, music, lifestyle, marketing, media, and all these other things, is that the idea of having transferable skill sets or transferable knowledge base and all those things are much easier to apply now than it probably was 5 years ago or 10 years ago. You can have an undergraduate in PR, and those skill sets can apply to marketing or communications in ways that you might not have been able to apply them, or at least been open to have certain conversations before. In terms of where the jobs are, I mean, it's difficult to say. I mean, in In some areas, you know, the way people are creating their own jobs and creating their own entities, jobs are, you know, what you make them. And in some areas, you know, it's very competitive. It's very competitive in marketing. It's very competitive in sports. You know, you're talking about industries where you have a fixed number of spots, and people don't really leave. You know, I mean, they just you once you're in, you love it, you enjoy it, and you stay. I think, you know, the networking is key. And I would also just say that, you know, everybody wants to sit down and talk to the CEO. You know, it's like, I want to have lunch with the CEO, and, you know, that's my, or the VP or the head of this or the head of that. Like, find ways to network. You know, you said it best, network within your own peer group. Find out the person who got that job that you're trying to get, got that last year. What did they do? You know, who do they know? Who else is in, who is where you want to be right now? Who's the 24-year-old that's in the position that you want to be this year or you want to be next year? And find out what they did as well, because those are that's the type of advice that is really going to be the most relevant to where you are right now. I mean, and I think I just think that it's so important. I think it's just such an overlooked step in networking that people just want to walk past everybody else in the room to go to that person that has the line in front of them and say, I want to talk to this person because that's the person that's going to make everything else possible. And the reality of it is, you walk past 10 people who ultimately that person is going to rely on to determine who they hire. There's managers, there's, you know, assistant managers, all these different positions that you need to be able to network and connect with. So, I mean, in terms of where those jobs are, I mean, you know, I think it's really about just trying to figure it out through networking, but I would definitely encourage everyone to really look at the people who are a step or two ahead of where you want to be and focus as much as them as the people that are down, you know, 10 years ahead of you.
You know, one thing I'd add too is it's never a straight line from where you are to where you want to go. And so be patient and think about the doors that are going to open in different ways. When I started as a part-time job in a country music radio station earning $5 an hour. I think my parents were going to cry because it was $5 an hour. This is what we paid for your business degree. Really? And from there, you know, a series of promotions and other things happened. And I never would have imagined where I got today. And I meet a lot of people who fixate. I think exactly to Bobby's point. It's kind of like, I want your job, and I want to get hired now so I can have that. No, you have to realize that there are steps. There's experience you need to get along the way to even find out if this is the job you ultimately want, because things change a lot. So patience, a lot of patience.